Hello, YouTube. Let me guess, you are watching this video right now because you are wondering where the hell is Jamil and what's his sister doing in it? Well, the reason that we're hanging out together right now is because we've been brainstorming how to take over the world of affordable housing using this incredible new way to make a 14% return on your money with co-living. Guys, this is probably the most groundbreaking buy and hold strategy that exists right now. If you've been frustrated because you can't burr anything right now because rates are at like 8%, this video will be for you. We're gonna talk about how you can find these types of deals, what kind of financing you need to purchase the property, the amount of cash that you might need in hand just to get this kind of deal done, where you can find that cash, and how you can refinance so that you can walk away with cash in your pocket and make an infinite return on your money. You guys are definitely gonna wanna watch this right to the end. All right, so one of the best ways to make a great return on your investment right now in buy and hold strategies for real estate is co-living. We've partnered with a company called PadSplit that helps us lease out all of our properties, and we're sitting at an 85 to 95% occupancy rate, meaning that we very rarely have any vacant units, and the cash on cash return that we're getting in these projects is absolutely insane. So the first question that you might have right now is acquisitions. Where could you find a property like this? Well, Rahima and I have bought these properties from wholesalers. One of the interesting things about the kind of property that you would use for co-living is that it's not the best property for a fix and flip. So typically you can get these properties at a much greater discount than you would your fix and flip properties. Rahima, what would you say are some of the key things that we can take on as a pad split that you wouldn't want for a fix and flip?
So, a house that's on a busy street, normally that would be prohibitive for a fix and flip. A house that backs commercial or backs a work center or backs a warehouse, anything that's too close to any sort of commercial or has a bus stop on the property, all of those things that would normally keep us from buying it for a fix and flip, make it perfect for a pad split because you're giving the opportunity for the people who are living in the property to get to work quickly.
That's awesome. Now, you guys might be saying, well, Jamil, we don't know where to find these kinds of deals. Well, fun guys, you can get these types of properties at Keegley, which is my wholesale company. You can even find these properties on the MLS if you don't want to pay a wholesaler. What's really interesting about these is that these are the properties that most people don't want. So they're sitting on the market like 120 days plus on market because, like she said, busy roads, bus stops, schools, all the things that make a fix and flip prohibitive are really, really good for pad splits. So I would absolutely talk to local wholesalers. I would also talk to real estate agents that have properties that have been sitting on the market. Now, there's one thing that you really want to take into consideration here, and that's the kind of neighborhood that you want to be looking for these co-living houses in. Rahima, what would you say is the most ideal type of neighborhood for a pad split co-living rental?
So you definitely don't want a property that has an HOA attached to it because you don't want another level of bureaucracy. So C and D class neighborhoods are probably your best or most ideal neighborhood. Somewhere close to working, large workstations or large work centers, and definitely you want public transportation to be nearby.
Awesome. So as you guys know, these are the kinds of properties that are a little less desirable and harder for real estate agents to sell. So you could actually do your lead generation reaching out to these agents and say, hi, I'm looking for houses that are typically harder for people to sell, especially when they're in original condition, because they can be on a busy street, they can be a bus stop on the property, siding, a warehouse, none of that matters. That's actually better for my model. Now, you're gonna be able to get these properties at a much deeper discount because there's so little demand for these kinds of houses, but they make great pad splits. So now that we know how to acquire this type of property, financing them is actually pretty easy for us. What would you say is the best way to finance a pad split?
So typically you can get it on, a hard money lender will give it to you at 80% loan to value. So you need 20% of the purchase price. And a lot of these hard money lenders are actually even giving you the money for the renovation. So you could get in with a very little capital in the beginning and still use somebody else's money to leverage you through the process.
So you've been doing a lot of these. How much of your own money have you been putting in?
So I'm actually using other people's money. I get investors to come in, They put in the money for the property and the renovation, and then we help them refi out their money and actually take a little bit of profit right at the beginning, and then keep the model running.
So with these investors that you're running these splits with, are you continuing to stay in the deal for the entirety of the deal?
For me, it's a little bit different because I actually own the property management company that takes care of the property once it's been given to PadSplit. So PadSplit finds you the tenant. They handle all the tenancy situations and those kinds of things, but I look after the property once it's been done.
So that's how you're making your money.
Correct.
So with respect to like the rental income, who's getting all of that?
The investor.
The investor gets the rental income.
100%, yep.
Okay, so the way you guys can structure this is probably a little different than her because she owns the property management company, so she's got her like fees baked in there. But what I would do if I was you and I wanted to pitch this to an investor would say, hey, you come in with the 20% down for the purchase, you come in with the 20% down needed for the renovation, I will handle the renovation, I will handle the finding the property, renovating the property, I'll deal with PadSplit and get the property leased up, and if there's any issues throughout it, I'll be the one managing it. Then you should be also taking a percentage of the monthly rent. Because you'll be refinancing these properties out, the investor's typically gonna get all of their money out within 6 months. So if they're getting all their money back in 6 months, they're literally getting an infinite return for the rest of their life. And for you putting the deal together, you should get an infinite return for the rest of your life as well. So what I would suggest for you to do is, let's just say that your property is cash flowing $2,000 a month in perpetuity after you refinance all of the cash out. You should give 50% of that $2,000 to the investor, and you should keep 50% of that for yourself. This is a great way for you to generate passive income for yourself with needing no money out of pocket for the rest of your life. Pretty cool way to do it. Now, one of the questions you might have right now is, what's the most ideal way to renovate this kind of property? Rahima, you've been doing quite a few pad splits. How would you say is the most efficient way to renovate? And is there any additions or any specific nuances that are needed in doing a pad split or a co-living renovation that people should keep top of mind?
Sure. So we actually, it's really interesting that you asked me this, because generally people will say, well, how do you turn a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house into a 7-bedroom, 7-bathroom house? Are you building onto it? And we're actually not. We're using the original footprint of the property. But because you're eliminating a lot of the common areas where space got wasted, in this type of model, it's not needed. So you're redoing the property to allow for 7 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and a small area for common. Really thinking about what is the most logical way for 7 people of different personalities that didn't know each other yesterday to move into a house together.
Got it. So you're minimizing the common areas, meaning you're probably taking away the living room,
yes,
a lot of the kitchen.
Correct.
And then you're turning that into bedrooms?
I'm turning that into bedrooms, 100%.
And then what about like garages?
I'm turning garages into bedrooms, because I am the firm believer that cars don't need houses, people need houses.
Got it. So we're taking away the garage, we're turning that into bedrooms. How many bedrooms are you fitting into a garage?
2.
2
bedrooms,
in a
2
garage.
bathrooms.
How many bedrooms are you fitting into the common area, like the living room?
5 bedroom, well, usually another 2.
So you're getting like 4 bedrooms out of the garage and living room area. And then if a home was a natural 3-bed, you've now got 7 bedrooms. How are you fitting the bathrooms in there?
So many of these houses are at least 50, 60, sometimes 70 years old. So I already have the added expense of having to redo a sewer line, right? Because especially in a state like Arizona, where it was either cast iron pipe or bird stop, which is basically newspaper. That's what that's what that sewer line was made out of. Since I'm gonna redo it anyways, I use a 4-inch line instead of the typical 2-inch line. So I allow for more bathrooms. I simply saw cut into the house itself and add another, if it's typically a 3-2, I add another 5 bathrooms into that property.
What's the cost per bathroom, do you think?
Generally, well, I know it. It's exactly $5,000. It costs $5,000 to add a bathroom, and that includes your saw cutting, your basic shower insert, your small vanity, and a toilet.
Dang, so $5,000 and you get to add an additional bathroom. Right. So if I have a 3-bed, 3-bath right now and I want to turn it into a 7-7, that means I'm going to add 5 bathrooms. So 5 bathrooms is going to cost me $25,000. That's pretty dang cheap. Yeah. Is that like anybody can get that price, or is that a special Rahima discount?
I mean,
You're like stealing stuff.
No, we never steal stuff. That's generally what the cost is. Now, your contractor is probably going to take a small cut, and this is where you make those relationships count with you for your contractors. You say, hey, I'm looking for you to do this project for me. This is what it should cost. I want the actual cost, and then you take your 15% on that instead of him taking money on every single piece of that pie.
Got it. Are there any special things that you're doing in the house in addition to adding these bathrooms and changing the layout?
So I'm a firm believer of different personalities want everything to be a little bit different, catered to them, right? And I want to eliminate or reduce conflict in the property. The best way to do that is to allow the person who's living there full autonomy. So they have their own bathroom, but they also have the ability to change the temperature in their room to suit them. So for example, if I had to live in a house with you where it's 69 degrees all the time, I'd be freezing. And that would make me really cranky. What I like it around 72, I can go into my room and adjust my temperature to make me happy.
Got it. So everybody gets their own temperature control. How are you doing that? Different thermostats?
No, I'm doing a mini split in each unit because again, these houses are older. Generally, I'd have to replace the HVAC anyways. This allows me to, instead of buying one unit for HVAC, I buy 7 separate units plus one for the common area, so 8 in total. And I give everybody the ability to change their own temperature.
That's got to be very expensive.
Well, a mini split's running me about between $400 and $500 for the actual unit.
Per unit?
Per unit.
Okay.
And then I spend another $250, let's say, to install it.
Okay, so let's say if your all-in cost is $800.
Yeah, let's say $800.
If you got $800 all-in cost and you're doing 7 of those.
Let's say 8 because I use one for the common area.
Okay,
right?
so 8 at 8, that's what, $7,000,
yes,
$6,500?
$6,500.
That's about the same price as an AC.
100%. And I don't have to worry about ducting. Because remember, I'm adding new bedrooms, right? So I'm adding bedrooms into a garage that's not normally ducted. I'm adding bedrooms into the common area, and they may not have the right returns and ducts in those separate bedrooms. So it eliminates all of that, plus it's less than what a new unit would have cost me.
Damn, that's really smart. What about the kitchens? Are there any special things that you do in the kitchens?
Sure, I don't use a dishwasher because
Why?
it's just another area of conflict.
I love a dishwasher.
I know you do, and for a single family, that makes a lot of sense. But if you've got, again, 7 different people, 7 different schedules, 7 different eating styles, 7 different eating habits, why wait for the dishwasher to fill before you run a load?
Well, then who's going to run it? Whose
Exactly.
responsibility is it?
Whose responsibility is it? And
who's going to unload it?
Right. Again, this isn't a single family. This is 7 different personalities. So what we'll typically do for these kitchens is we separate them. We'll give them 7 different pantries, so they each get their own pantry for their own things. We give them 2 stoves. Again, I don't use a flat top stove. I use a coil. Remember the coil of the old days?
Why?
Because nothing breaks. When a coil range breaks, you just simply replace the coil. It's $17. If something bangs hard on a glass stove, that glass stove is shattered. It's done. That's a $600 expense for a new stove.
Oh, wow. Okay, so does that mean you have to use like ugly old appliances?
No, they're not old. They're still new. And there is a reason why they're still being made is that they're perfect for rentals.
Got it.
And I don't put water and ice in the refrigerators. It's not needed. It's not a necessity.
Okay, so no water, no ice machines.
Correct. That's another thing that's going to break.
Got it. Do you provide like a water cooler, or is that on their own to do?
No, it's kind of on your own. If you want to have a Brita or some sort of pitcher in the fridge for your cold water, you can do that.
How about fridge space? How are you working through that?
We have 2 refrigerators in each unit, in each house. So we have plenty of fridge space for the tenant.
Got it.
And something else that we're actually starting new is a coin-operated laundry. So coin-operated washer.
So who gets to keep all that money?
Well, that's the investor's money. And what that helps doing is it eliminates the tenant from just running a load with a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. It's only $1.50 for a wash and a dry. It's not a tremendous amount of money. It's not prohibitive, but it keeps them from just running the washer and dryer for just a small amount of clothing.
Got it. So you've got special considerations for common areas, garage, kitchen, the way that you heat and cool the place, and your laundry situation. Are there any other specific, like really important details that people need to take into consideration?
When you have a 7-7, you typically want to do 2 water heaters. just in case you run into a situation where
Tankless or regular?
regular, definitely regular, because tankless are generally gas, and I eliminate the gas from the property. So even if there was gas at that property, I turn everything to electric.
Okay, so 2 water heaters, big ones?
70 gallons. That should do it.
2 70-gallon water heaters. Is there any risk of a cold shower?
No, even if all of them took a shower at the same time, nobody's going to run out of water with 2 water heaters.
With 2 water heaters. Okay, cool. Are there any specific times that people should be running laundry or dishwashers? Like, do you have any house rules?
No, we don't really do that. I think that's another reason for conflict. So if you give them a specific time, if they're working during that time, because you've got people that are working night shifts, you've got people that are working day shifts, we want them to have as much autonomy and freedom in that property as they can. So absolutely no rules when it comes to electric use.
What's the common length of time that somebody stays in one of these rooms?
It's funny that you asked me, because when we first started doing this, and you talked to me about PadSplit, I thought, well, this is going to be like running a rooming house. You're going to have people coming and going and coming and going, and it sounded really challenging in the beginning. So far, we've been running the house that we did as your test subject, right? And most of the tenants, if not all of the tenants, have remained for at least 8 months.
Wow.
Right? So
very little turnover.
Very little turnover. And I 100% believe that has everything to do with trying to eliminate conflict on the property.
And making it a really nice remodel.
Sure, that definitely helps.
Do you have to do that scale of remodel on these for them to be successful, or can you get away with a little bit of a less, intense project?
You could, but if you're going to add those bathrooms, you're going to have to redo the floors anyways. If you're going to redo the kitchen so that it accommodates 7 personalities, you're going to have to redo the kitchen anyways. So I'm not sure where you're really going to be able to save money, because all of those things, when you're looking at a property that's 70 years old, a lot of that stuff already has to be done.
Got it. So you're going to spend the money anyways. You might as well spend money on a little bit of a nicer thing so that you get a higher quality tenant that might stay a little longer than somebody else.
And you have to think about how it's going to benefit you too, because, for example, I know that luxury vinyl planks right now run around $2 a square foot, and you could probably find laminate around 89 cents a square foot. But if something happens with that laminate, if they break it, if they spill something on it, water sits on it, there's a leak, whatever could happen in terms of housing, because it happens, we all know that, you're going to have to replace all that laminate, where luxury vinyl plank is going to withstand a whole lot more. Again, carpet could be cheaper in the bedrooms, but when you have a tenant that does move out, if the carpets are stained or they just need to be redone, then it's an expense you don't have to think about if you use luxury vinyl plank. So I'm always of the nature that do it once, do it right, don't have to do it again and again.
Love that. It's got to be a total pain in the butt leasing these properties up.
Probably is, but it's not a pain in my butt.
What are you doing?
It's a pain in PadSplit's butt.
All right.
I hand over that property to PadSplit. They take care of handling the pictures. They take care of putting it on their system. Really, the only time I hear about it is when I look at my dashboard and it says, oh, such and such is inquiring about your house, wants to move in on this date. Are you cool with that?
Got it. So the lease up is not your responsibility at all. What are you paying PadSplit, like 25%?
No, they take 12% of the rents, and they handle all of the collection of funds, as well as they give me a dashboard. So imagine this, I don't have to show up to the property to see what's going on. If a tenant has an issue, they simply put their issue into the dashboard. I get a notification that such and such from room such and such has sent you a message, and I'm able to communicate with the member or the tenant without ever having to come into the property.
Wow, that's awesome. PadSplit has an entire infrastructure for that. If you want to learn more about working with PadSplit for your co-living property, I'm going to have a link in the description below. Rahima and I just recently partnered with PadSplit, and we worked out a special discount for people that want to work with PadSplit for their lease-ups. Now, Rahima, when you were doing a deal like this and you're using an investor or your own money, there is always going to be an opportunity to refinance and pull that money out. Are there any special things to think about for the refinance?
Yeah. And it's great that you asked me that, because you have to look at the neighborhood that you're in, right? Because at the end of the day, the new refi lender is still going to have an appraiser come out, which means you typically don't want to have closets, reframed closets in every single bedroom. Some of those bedrooms should have closets that are simply, on the outside of the walls, not on the inside of the walls. So it has a bar, maybe some shelves, but it's not encased within a door. And the reason you want to do that is you're going to, or the appraiser is going to understand that this is not a 7-bedroom house. It's rather maybe a 4 or 5-bedroom house with 2 offices. So although the office has a window and a bathroom, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bedroom because it doesn't have that framed-in closet.
Good. So without a closet, it's not a legal bedroom. If it's not a legal bedroom, then they don't have to actually count it as a legal bedroom, and it's easier for them to comp. Wouldn't it be worth more with 7 bedrooms instead of 5 bedrooms?
Yes, as soon as lenders get their heads out of their asses, it'll definitely be worth more. But right now, we have to accommodate what the parameters of their small lending squares are, and we just have to work within their system.
Understood. So I actually had a conversation with the lender about this exact question, and here's what they had to say. It's very difficult for a lender to resell a loan, which they always do. Anytime that you go get a loan with the lender, after about 2 months of holding that loan, that lender then sells that loan to another servicer, another lender. And those lenders want very specific types of properties. So they don't want anything that is outside of the box, meaning the maximum number of bedrooms that they'll want to take into their properties is usually 4 to 5 bedrooms. So if you got a 7, 8 bedroom house, they look at that as not a type of loan that they want to hold on their books, and they will actually not be able to do that loan or buy that loan. And so that makes the first lender not want to do your financing. So it's really important to, even though it really makes no sense, it's really important to make sure that you follow this, right? So 4 or 5 bedrooms max. The last 2 or 3 bedrooms need to be counted as an office, and the way to do that is no closets. You don't only have to put a bar on the outside, you could also do like a dresser, an armoire, or another kind of cabinet that people could put their clothing in. So now that we've talked about refinancing, what would you say is the total amount of money? Let's just say, for instance, the purchase price on a house of this type is like $250,000. And the renovation would cost around, what would you say the renovation is?
I'm going to say anywhere between 100 and 125.
And that's for how large of a property?
Under 2,000 square feet, so anywhere between 1,700 and 2,000 square feet. That's your sweet spot?
That's your sweet spot. So around 2,000 square feet, you're renovating at around $125,000. You're going to need 20% of that. And your purchase price is usually around $250,000. You're going to need 20% of that. So typically you're going to need what, around $70,000 to $80,000 cash on hand?
Yes.
When you're refinancing, what can you expect to get back?
Well, I mean, this is where you really come in handy because you know how to comp house. So you would want to look at what the ARV is before you even take on the project and make sure you do that math. So if the ARV of that house that you purchased for $250 is $450, $475, that's your ARV. That's what you're gonna be able to. Well,
80% of that is what you're gonna get out.
Is what you're gonna be able to get out.
Awesome. I just did a property just like this where I purchased the property for $250,000. I spent $117,000 on the remodel. I was out of pocket $75,000 in total cash. When I went to refinance the property, I was given back $95,000. So I got $20,000 to put in my jeans, tax-free, because it was loaned money. It wasn't actual profit, it's from a loan. So I didn't have to pay any taxes on that 20 grand, which is super cool. And the property still cash flows $2,000 a month. Imagine that. You get to own a property that appreciates, that has $80,000 in equity in it. It also spit out $20,000 in cash for me to put into my jeans, and it makes $2,000 a month in perpetuity. I just need to do another 5 of these houses and I can retire.
And don't forget, you own this house. So you have capital appreciation happening every single year.
And mortgage pay down.
And mortgage pay down.
Folks, the holy grail of investing is co-living. If you guys want to learn more about it and you guys want Rahima and I to do more videos about that, leave us a comment in the comment section below and we'd be happy to show you more intricate details about the construction, about how to find these properties, how to finance these properties, how to lease up these properties, how to work more with PadSplit. You can absolutely do that. Leave us a comment and we'll make more content for you guys on that. And if you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to the channel, and tell Rahima that she needs to make a YouTube channel because she hasn't done one yet and she's being stupid.